So I've got to tell you, about 2.5 years ago, I actually had not read a single book in, oh gosh, it had to have been probably 7 or 8 years. I mean, literally, I hadn't even touched a book, let alone opened it, let alone read it. That all changed about 2.5 years ago. 2.5 years ago, I had this book given to me. A friend of mine saw the changes that I was making in my life, sent me this book for free. It's called Impressions. And Impressions is by Dr. Coit Cooper. I got to tell you, when I started reading Impressions, it talks about personal branding, character development, how we can project ourselves into the world to give a sense of positive reinforcement and positive growth within ourselves. When I started reading this book, I got to tell you, I had no idea what was going to happen. What I didn't realize, it took me a little while to read the book, because you have to understand, I hadn't read a book in years. So it took me several months, and I mean, I'm talking probably 4 or 5, maybe almost half a year to read it. Because right here was not ready. I can tell you guys, it was so not ready to start reading. But when I got done with that book, when I got done with Impressions, I can't tell you how great I felt. There was something about reading, and I want to encourage you that if you don't read, please, whatever it is that you enjoy reading, get up in the morning before you have to do anything and sit down with a great book. I sit down every morning about 5:30 before my kids are up, before I take them to school, and I read at least 30 minutes. Sometimes that's 10, sometimes that's 15 pages, whatever it is, about 30 minutes. And what I read is motivational, self-help, things that help you build wealth, both mentally and financially. Things about growth, personal development. And right now, as a matter of fact, this is the book I'm reading right now. Tony Robbins' Unlimited Power. And what's great is when I first started reading Impressions by Coit Cooper, I had no idea that it was going to lead to this. And it's a reason that both books are special. Both books are special to me because Impressions was the first book after about 7 years that I hadn't read. Unlimited Power is my 17th consecutive book that I have read. So this is number 1, and this is number 17. Now, if you'd have told me, I would have gone reading these books. I wouldn't have believed it back then. But now I can tell you, when I don't have a chance to read in the morning, it throws my day off. Very seldom will I allow myself to go unless I just cannot make it happen. But every day I read. And I want to share some books with you here. Coit Cooper not only has Impressions, the Power of Personal Branding and Living an Extraordinary Life. He not only has Impressions, but he also has a book entitled Make Your Mark by Coit Cooper. C-O-Y-T-E, Cooper. I want to highly recommend both books, especially I want to recommend Impressions if you're deciding that you want to change your life and you're wanting something to jump into that's not going to be overly whelming. I can tell you that at about 180 pages or so, this is easy to read. It's very simple. Coit has a lot of heart, and he's going to really help you out. You're going to work up to books like Unlimited Power, which is about a 430. My advice, when you're starting to read, I wouldn't jump into Awaken the Giant Within, Unlimited Power. I wouldn't jump into books like that because they're going to go deep. I wouldn't even jump in with Make Your Mark first. I would start with Impressions, and a few less pages, less intimidating, less as detail oriented. Impressions is going to get you on a good track, and it's going to start you. But I'd also like to recommend some books, if I may. And what I would also like to recommend is a book entitled Up Yours, Finding and Climbing Your Ladder of Success. It's by a great guy. His name's Josh Liske, Liske. Josh has an amazing book out there, Up Yours. I definitely include that you read that. It's not massive, but it's got some great insight. If you're trying to become a better salesman, you're trying to get more sales oriented, or you're just trying to get to the point where you can really make something happen. Steve Harvey also has a couple of great books that I want to recommend. Act Like a Success, Think Like a Success, and also Jump. Those are two books that I've read that I think are just absolutely amazing. Some other books that I've read, Mike Williams has a great book out there called The Road to Your Best Stuff. I also want to recommend As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. It's an old read. It's only a handful of pages, I think maybe 35 or 40 pages, but it will make you think. Definitely one that you want to take your time and read. It's in a little bit older English, but it's definitely thought-provoking. So, As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. Also, what I want to recommend is a great book written by another friend of mine. Her name's Nicole Zion Cox. Nicole Zion, Z-I-E-N-E-C-O-X. Nicole Zion Cox has a book out there called Foster to Fosters. It's basically about her life and how she's gone from being an at-risk, troubled youth in the foster care system to being, a highly sought-out motivational speaker, entrepreneur, foster coach. Girls taking it by storm. This is a story that you don't have to be a foster child to love this story. So I definitely recommend Foster to Fosters by Nicole Zion Cox. Also, like I mentioned, Tony Robbins has Unlimited Power. He also has Awaken the Giant Within. If you want to get into Tony Robbins, one thing that I would recommend first to get a feel for Tony has a much smaller book called Notes from a Friend. That's one of the books that I've also read. That's a great book to get started with if you're going to get into the world of kind of like neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP as it's called. It's a great book. I would recommend that you read some of these other books first, get some knowledge on the ground, get some traction, and then throw in Awaken a Giant Within, which is over like 500 pages, and Unlimited Power, which is 4 something. But also, I would like to recommend Les Brown. Les Brown has It's Not Over Until You Win. He also has the 12 Laws of Success. I would highly recommend either one of those. Great reads. Also, Chip Gaines, popular entrepreneur and universal handyman, star of HGTV's Fixer Upper. He has a great book out. It's called Capital Gains. If you want to see how somebody has the mindset of success before they become successful, this is a book you've got to read. I mean, through this book, you're literally taken to how him and his wife Joanna became the fixer-upper stars that they are today, and the owners of the Magnolia Empire, as some have called it. It shows you that you can do it. It can be done, and but you've got to have the mindset to make it happen, or it's not going to show up. Capital Gains by Chip Gaines is an amazing book. Him and his wife together, him and Joanna Gaines, also have a great book out. It's called The Magnolia Story. And I mean, if you're looking for a book with a lot of heart and a lot of character, not just the tools, but the storyline of how you, and particularly a partner, a significant other, how you want to be together and interlock mentally and be on a similar page without being perfect and reach success, I do want to recommend Magnolia Story. One of the other books that I've also read is one that I feel is very profound. If you're struggling, you're broke, you're trying to make ends meet, George S. Clason has an amazing book. It's called The Richest Man in Babylon. And I've got to tell you, it is a book that you are going to have to take your time and read. The stories are in very old English, but I can tell you, if I can sit down and slowly read this book, and I can take notes, and I ended up with 4 or 5 pages of notes just from reading this book, and I've implemented the tools that it's given, and I've already added an entire 2-week salary into my savings account from what this has applied. It does work. So George S. Clason, The Richest Man in Babylon, and you know, these all books that I've recommended, you can go to Amazon and get them right, and you can have them there within just a couple days. And you know, I just want to encourage you to read. I can't explain how, when you start your day off with a good book and how you make things happen with a good book, that it can just completely change your life. So I just wanted to take that time. I wanted to share what I've read, what I am reading. I wanted to share that with you because I think the worst thing I can do is not say, hey, this is what's helped me, and maybe it'll help you. So I hope you guys have a great day. Live with passion. Take care. And I'll see you later. Bye.